Nothing is guaranteed to remain the same forever. I have recently driven through many states that some in coastal areas may regard as flyover states. While these coastal elitists may overlook and disregard these Americans, I have experienced the specialness, American spirit, and perseverance of these overlooked Americans and wonder whether or not American public policy is doing enough to revitalize these communities. There are flawed economic views that lead to bad policies from both sides of the aisle. For instance, there are some who believe that the economy is static and a net-sum game, so that redistribution, high taxes, and fringe energy policies will not fundamentally impact the viability of what was once a thriving union middle class. And at the same time, there has been an over-pursuit of cheap and less quality foreign labor to deliver better results for investors and to attract growth at an unfortunate cost. Some also feel that every result is entirely up to the people and their work ethic, but bad policies made well outside of their state borders have proved to be harmful. I strongly believe that the best emerging market and greatest trade partner of the United States should be our American Midwest and Bible Belt regions. These once industrialists powered our nations and are largely responsible for the glitz and glamour of communities far away from them. Unfortunately, the money left their regions and never returned. There was no economic recovery cycle because we as a society chased the next shiny object. In many ways, the America First and economic agenda of President Donald Trump is geared towards helping these regions revitalize and put Americans back to work who have longed to contribute to our great American economic story, like their grandparents and parents did, and they have the potential and drive to do so. There are too many myths and stereotypes perpetuated by our coastal media that makes it seem like the vast majority of these Americans are not important. The Hollywood elite have greatly disparaged and perpetuated stereotypes that have made their coastal buddies pursue foreign partners rather than friendship with our American neighbors. There are too many people opposing investing in these regions, preferring to over these individuals dependency over hope, which is ironically what these same people are all too ready to give people who violate our immigration laws. These individuals and their communities have only been viewed as useful to grow our food and hide illegals amongst, but have not truly been valued. What is at stake is the loss of our great American culture and the economic horsepower that these communities can help power a new American economy. But it will not come with big government oppressing them or depleting their hard-earned resources. The answer will most likely require that they are able to have a market for their economic outputs not bound by trade agreements that give preference to our foreign allies, but allows them to fairly compete. It will come in allowing these individuals and their businesses to invest, innovate, and expand in manners that suits their skills and ability, not limited by any fringe agenda. America's flyover region is the jet fuel that our economy can use right now. We have to help get these regions back on their feet. We must help these people fight back.
For all those coastal elites that push for social justice, inclusivity, and love, they often prove highly hypocritical when you hear how they regard the American Midwest. For instance, you see how Democratic leaders will pour out millions of dollars to support criminals without the right to reside in America, but will not interact with flyover states. You cannot speak about two Americas when you are the party that is creating two Americas, if not more at this point. The only thing that is offered to these people have been government dependency to public programs that have not provided any real help. They are supposed to be loyal and thankful to programs that keep right on the line of poverty, allowing them to be pushed right back at the whim of a bureaucrat. Yet, these same leaders will look the other way when these programs are exploited, stolen from, and looted by people who are far from destitute and are supposed to be helping them. The American dream does exist, but it is being withheld from them, because we would rather have the production out of sight, out of mind. Real Americans do neither want a handout nor market tricks to give them a temporary advantage. They want the ability to compete on a level and fair playing field, where they can adjust and adapt to meet the market needs. Other nations fight for their producers. We must make sure that we stand with those that are willing to fight for our American economic producers, not the ones that just fly right over them.
One of the factors we have to consider when addressing the issues of these communities is that there needs to be real incentives for people to remain in these areas. These areas are a reflection of the aging of America. Largely because the search for stable work has drawn them out of the areas that these individuals love. There are some people who love city life, and that is great. And there are people who love and cherish a more country lifestyle, and that should be great as well. But our economic policies have favored creating economic generators placed in cities at the expense of other regions. Many times people moving to these cities would rather be elsewhere. But the mindset of policymakers has been that these people will adapt. Many times they do not. They do not want the life of working in a cubicle like a head of cattle. Commuting in dirty public transportation, navigating human feces of city residents overlooked by their own leaders. The reality of city life is not comparable to the myths sold by Hollywood. Too many people are forced to give up the life they love and cherish simply because of economic policy that has made the region unable to compete with quotas favoring external competitors. We support free trade, but we want fair free trade with no sacred cows. Let everyone compete fairly. Not protecting one group over another, but protecting all from any possible bad intention of anyone. There should be an internal incentive to do business with our fellow Americans rather than foreign alternatives wherever possible. We want global trade, but we need to be smart about it. For instance, do we eat out when there is a meal already waiting at home? Why waste it? Eat out when needed and closer to home otherwise.
Consider how we used to handle H-1B visas, which are intended to supplement the available talent in our domestic labor market by allowing companies to import international talent. This is not a bad program, but the issue was that the program made the imported talent more financially viable. So, a company would be incentivized to hire foreign talent over domestic talent to reduce the tax match. Some people might argue that why would anyone do that? The simple and obvious answer is that people will do things that benefit their bottom line. You can have as many slogans or constructs as possible, but if there are incentives that make one group of people less expensive than another group of people, then the more affordable pool of talent will get more opportunities. Our economy, society, and governments at every level have a responsibility to Americans. That should not be controversial. Any government should seek the benefit of their citizens over anyone else. Sure, we all want win-win agreements, but our policymakers should ensure that Americans benefit and there are no harm. I agree that we need to get back to a made-in-America model to some degree. We should be looking to invest in our American communities over supposed emerging markets. Emerging markets are tempting not because there is a pool of advanced labor. Rather, companies are looking for cheap labor that will do what they are paid to do and provide stable earnings. The major problem with domestic production is generally the cost and the influence of unionized labor that can disrupt operations, supply chains, and consumer outcomes, which is not ideal. Sure, there is a valid argument for the need for fair wages, but there is also a valid argument that many strikes are out of greed and the benefits may not always go directly to workers, but their unions. So, there will need to be a real look on how to provide a stable market that can compete. There is no expectation that America will be a global manufacturing leader. The cost disadvantage is highly preventative to that. The opportunity is still there to be better than the current status quo and afford opportunity where it may be artificially suppressed and to disrupt the market. We should not see a problem and then simply regurgitate all the standard sayings. We should be looking at improving opportunities for our neighbors and fellow Americans. That should not be divisive or disagreeable. Americans of all backgrounds deserve an opportunity. Thank you for experiencing this episode of the Christopher Peter Review. Your viewership is appreciated and valued. Please follow the Christopher Peter Review on social media and continue to visit www.crcreview.com for new episodes. Thank you once again. Until next time.